Okay, we're going to look at the rough shader. Right over here, let's load it up. As you can see, there's 4 simple parameters over here. What the rough shader is a 3D procedural bump shader that gives the surface a generic rough appearance. The surface consists of a smoother undulating layer with rougher irregular bumps protruding from it. It's good for anything from rocky surfaces to entire landscapes. So let's apply it to our object and see what it looks like. Apply that. And let's do a quick render to see what that looks like. As you can see, it generates a nice rough texture for our objects. The scale setting over here adjusts the scale of the pattern. Increasing it makes the bump pattern bigger, and decreasing it makes them smaller. You also adjust the amplitude setting over here. Increasing it makes the amplitude higher, the bumps will stick out more. By decreasing it, you make the bumps stick out less, and you make it totally smooth by making it 0. Let's leave somewhere between. The detail setting affects how much detail there is in the bumps. If we make it 0, there's no detail. And this will increase the detail. Let's apply it to our object, detail level of 1 to see what it looks like. As you can see, the bump pattern on it is now much greater. We can also change stuff like the sharpness setting. What that does is it affects how sharp or how smooth the surface is. By increasing it to 10, we make the surface totally smooth. By decreasing it down towards 0, we'll make the surface sharper and sharper. Let's apply it to our object and see what that looks like. And there you go, we have a nice rough texture for our object. We'll be talking about the wrapped rough shader in the next tutorial. And it's pretty similar, so we'll talk about that more next. We are now going to talk about the wrapped rough shader, so let's load that up. Let's go see what parameters we can edit. As you can see, it has the same parameters as the rough shader which we talked about before. The difference being that this is a 2D procedural bump shader which is wrapped across the object's UV space. So you have to pay attention to the object's UV space when you're texturing your object with this. The scale setting is the same. Increasing the scale makes the pattern dots much bigger, and decreasing the scale makes the bump pattern much smaller. Amplitude controls how high the bumps seem, so you make the bumps stick out more, or make the bumps stick out less. The detail setting over here controls the overall complexity of the surface, and also how much the bump perturbs the surface. The sharpness setting controls how sharp or how smooth the surface is. By increasing up to 1, you basically make the surface totally smooth, and decreasing it down to 0 makes the surface very sharp. So let's apply that to our object and see what that looks like. As you can see, the bump map is distorted across the object's surface because of the distorted UV map. So remember this when you're texturing your object.